if you're worried about somebody trying to follow you. And people follow you if they've just got to beat you, they've got to stop you beating them. They just fly with you the whole flight. You can't beat them unless you're in the Libelle. And also good reception. You need to know what's going on around you when the gate's opened, if it is open, which contest it's actually relevant to. And it doesn't happen so much in New Zealand, but UK they used to call the start. When they did the start, they tell you which task you're on. Quite often give you multiple tasks, and you wouldn't know which task you were on until they announced like 10 minutes to gate open, you'll be on task B or task C. Because it's taken about an hour to launch, so they're waiting for the weather to settle down before they know which task you're actually on. I wish New Zealand would do that, but they seem afraid of it. Loggers again, logger setup. Not so much a problem with the ultra modern loggers. Kieran, what rate does your logger sample at?
Version set to second.
Second. So it used to be like 12-second defaults. I think the Cambridges were 12, and the really smart ones would go to 4 seconds if you're in the zone.
No, that's about 8 and 2, I think.
8 and 2 was it?
Yeah.
But you have to configure them to go to rapid sampling when they're in the zone.
Yes.
And you have to be in the zone for it to go rapid sampling.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. Not so bad now. You can now that large files are not a problem. Uploads, downloads are quick. Sampling rate's not so much of an issue. But you're trying to hit a 500 metre circle, and if you're in the wave travelling high speed, you're only in there for a second or two. You've got to get the sample in the circle. Samples outside the circle don't count. Well, we're getting down to the point if you're that close, but you've lost points. So make sure you know that your log is set up for fast sample rate, and if you've got automatic switching, make sure it's switched on. And this is also an advantage of having 2 loggers, because they will be sampling at slightly different points. One might record a point in the zone, one might not. Conversely, one might record a point in airspace, and one might not.
Yeah.
Are you sure a linear interpolation wouldn't count?
It didn't used to. You used to have to get a point in the zone.
It's only if there's a straight line between 2 points that actually would go through the circle can you get it. Not in that case, because a straight line between 2 points is not in the circle.
Yeah, then this would just be a ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That would take you through. That one would, and this one would. But yeah, every competition, somebody who's just missed the circle.
Okay.
So make sure you get a point in the circle, and the key way of doing that is to make sure your log is set up for fast sample rate, and you have to fly through the circles. And same for airspace. So height is another one. Have I got the next slide? No. So which altimeter do you look at before the start, or if you're climbing to close to airspace? Which altimeter are you looking at?
The logger of
The loggers.
It's not certified. That's not the one airspace is based on. You should be looking at the big one. You know, one with 300-foot lag in it. Which altimeter you scored by?
the logger of
The logger. If you can arrange a connection between your logger and your PDA or your display, so your display is showing the altitude coming off the logger, that's what's been recorded. That's what matters.
Good.
If you're using a different altimeter to the logger, you might think you're within 50 feet of airspace. Ah, good, I just missed it. Now, logger says otherwise.
Pressure changes.
So,
and also some of your instruments will have the option of having IGC attitude or GPS attitude.
but there's always a calibration error as well. So just be aware of it that if you're not actually using the same altitude reference as the logger, give yourself a bit of margin for error. It won't be exactly the same. Batteries. How long does your battery have to run all your instrumentation for?
Should be in the back of your logbook. You're not going to do
So that'll tell you how long it will run it for. How long does it
Theory.
need to run it for?
Yeah.
20 minutes to half an hour after the flight has finished.
How long is the flight? When did the flight
Well,
start?
That would be the minimum.
When does the flight start? When
Civil
do you
Eve and
start
twilight
hammering those
ought-
batteries?
Civil Eve and twilight ought to be the.
Yeah, but when do you start hammering the batteries? When do you start using them?
When you turn your electric socks on.
The transponder,
Transponder.
Transponder will really hammer it.
Yeah.
When do you turn your batteries on in competition?
transmission.
When
When
you
you
get
10
cold.
seconds before launch?
No, a little earlier.
Putting your task in.
Putting your task in, program it, sitting on the grid, listening to the radio. You'll be running the aircraft for an hour or two before you can take off. So if you've only got 4 hours worth of battery, you're in trouble.
Even if you go high.
And if you go high, if you're flying a marathon task, my record is 7 hours on task at high altitude. So, yeah, lots and lots of battery. I reckon you can't have enough battery, to be honest. And the other thing is, I think I can go 2 days.
No, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't, but if I forget to plug my battery in at night, or I get back late at night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't need to get a full charging in for the next day, and I'll still make it. I've got 2 batteries actually, so I've got a reserve. So between that and reserve, I'll do 2 days. So if I forget to charge and my charger's broken, or somebody unplugs it. Anybody had their battery charging unplugged whilst charging?
Not yet, but I heard the
Yeah.
stories.
There's normally a big pile of connectors all piled out, rah. Yeah, it's not unheard of to come back and go, why isn't it plugged in? Either you forgot to plug it in, which is more likely, or somebody else has just, I'll just unplug this for 5 minutes to charge my phone, and I forgot to plug it back in again. So, yeah, be careful. Flat batteries are a nightmare. And your charger needs to be, as I already mentioned, you have to be able to charge pretty quick. Lithium-ion batteries are great for that, because I have to charge in a couple of hours now. Because it used to be, but I need a good 12 hours to fully recharge.
Yeah.
So if you've had a bad land out, you might back it like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you need a full charge before you grid, basically. Yeah. So yeah, good charger, good batteries. I haven't experienced this yet, but lithium-ion, when they go good. They just go bang when they're flat. Whereas lead acid, things will start saying low battery, things will stop working, you turn them off, turn things off, turn more off, keep them going, you might make it. Lithium-ion, once it's gone, it's
And
gone.
normally they terminate at about 11 point something, 11.6, so they will actually switch off internally.
Yeah, I've had that when I was using it at work. And to get them going again, you have to.
You have to put in a
You can't just
voltage
put them on a
above that.
charger because the automatic charger will go, now it's turned off. And there's no battery here. You've got to give them like 13 or 14 volts to wake it back up, and most chargers won't do it. So it becomes a bit of a mission to bring
Yeah,
them
the
up.
lithium-ion charger will do it.
Oh well, the one I had.
It leaves, it produces the voltage, but
Yeah.
it indicates that the current is very low. And also, a good one will keep the current down at the initial state.
Yeah, so good charger. It's the correct one for your battery and a good battery. Critical. Right. It is actually the pilot. How does the glider make the pilot better? Or how does the pilot's preparation of the glider make that pilot better?